This video will be a full tour and documentation of this 2014 Chevrolet Impala Limited LTZ.
This Impala Limited is painted in crystal red tint coat.
It does have chrome door handles. The front door panels do have storage areas. This one does have a premium Bose sound system. And of course you get power windows, power door locks, and power mirrors.
This one has the gray interior color scheme, and the LTZ trim comes with leather seat upholstery.
And both front seats do have partial power adjustments. But let's go ahead and start the engine.
So the Chevy Impala was a very well-known full-size car that was introduced in 1958 and produced off and on in various forms up until 2020. The model's final run of production lasted from 2000 to 2020 when it was a unibody front-wheel drive four-door sedan that was also Chevrolet's flagship. This 20-year production span saw the Impala's 8th, 9th, and 10th generations, before the Impala was ultimately discontinued after 2020, as sedans, especially full-size ones, just aren't as popular anymore, with more and more people gravitating to crossovers and SUVs. Anyways, 2014 saw the Impala get completely redesigned for its 10th and final generation, but you'll notice that this 2014 is actually a 9th generation model. That's because the outgoing 9th generation Impala, which had been around since 2006, continued production alongside the newer 10th gens up until 2016. So to try and take away some of the confusion, these carryover 9th generation Impalas sold from 2014 to 2016 were badged and sold under the name Impala Limited. Another thing, the 14 to 16 Impala Limiteds were only sold new as fleet vehicles, so they weren't sold at Chevy dealerships. Instead, they either began life as rental cars, which eventually would become available to buy on used lots, or as police cars, as GM did offer this Impala generation with a police package. The 9th generation Impala was produced for 10 model years, spanning from 2006 to 2016, with, as mentioned before, 2014 to 2016 9th gens being called the Impala Limited, and exclusive to fleets. It rides on the final iteration of GM's W-body platform, which was also used by the Buick LaCrosse and Pontiac Grand Prix of the era. Very little changed cosmetically on the 9th gen Impala during its run, aside from some very mild enhancements to the exterior around 2012. Easily the biggest update this generation received was for 2012, when the old cast-iron pushrod V6 engines were replaced with a more modern and refined 3.6-liter dual-overhead cam aluminum block V6. That year also saw the automatic transmission get upgraded from a 4-speed to a 6-speed. So the 14 Impala Limited came in 3 trim levels, which were the base LS, the mid-range LT, and the range-topping LTZ like this one. The engine, transmission, and drivetrain were all the same across the range. A 300 horsepower 3.6-liter V6 paired to a 6-speed automatic that drove the front wheels. Competitors back in 2014 included cars like the Ford Taurus, Dodge Charger, and Toyota Avalon. In Chevy's 2014 sedan lineup, the full-size Impala and Impala Limited are slotted above the mid-size Malibu.
The instrument cluster houses 4 analog gauges, including your tachometer, speedometer, fuel gauge, and temperature gauge. And it also has a digital info display, which can be controlled via the buttons right here. The hazard light switch is on top of the steering column. It has a 4-spoke design, leather-wrapped, multifunctional steering wheel. As for controls, on this side you have your audio controls along with your hands-free phone and voice commands. On this side are your cruise controls. And with these buttons, it's pretty interesting. If you put the transmission, you got it in drive, put into low, as you can see it says next to the L, it says 1 right now in first gear. With these buttons, you're able to select the highest gear that it will allow the transmission to be in if you're in low. This is a tilt steering wheel. The parking brake is foot operated. You have your headlight controls, your trunk release, traction control, and panel dim. Air vent for the driver. Right here you have your high beam, turn signal, and wiper stalk. And right here are your aforementioned information display controls. Going down the center of the interior, you have your air vents up top, passenger airbag indicator. Right here is your whole radio head unit. It does have a CD player, also got an aux port. Below that are the controls for your dual zone climate control, together with the controls for your 2-stage heated front seats. Got some storage in front of the shifter with a couple of power outlets. Behind the gear shifter, you have 2 cup holders, and you have a center console with another power outlet. Both sun visors do have vanity mirrors and lights. Reading lights on the rearview mirror. Also got OnStar roadside assistance. Got your garage home link and the power controls for your sunroof. You also have grab handles for the front passenger and rear passengers. And now we'll go ahead and roll down the driver's window and take a look at the engine bay. The driver's window is automatic down.
The LTZ trim gets you these 18-inch 5-split-spoke alloy rims. All 2014 Impala Limited models are powered by GM's LFX 3.6-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine. It's a dual overhead cam 24-valve power plant with direct injection and variable valve timing. It produces 300 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 262 pound-feet of torque at 5,300 RPM. This engine is paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission with low gear selection, which delivers power to the front wheels. This engine is also flex fuel compatible, so it can run on either regular unleaded or E85 ethanol. EPA ratings for the 14 Impala Limited are an estimated 18 mpg in the city and 29 mpg on the highway, when running on regular unleaded. It has a McPherson strut front suspension with a multi-link rear suspension. It has 4-wheel disc brakes with ventilated front ones. Curb weight is about 3,650 pounds.
As you saw earlier, the fuel cap is located on the driver's side. The rear door panels also have storage areas. Also got 60/40 split folding rear seats to aid cargo space. Both front seats do have storage pockets on the backs. Also got some storage. You've also got a folding center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now, as someone who's about 6 foot to 6'1", honestly, back seat space in this generation of Impala leaves quite a bit to be desired, especially considering it's a full-size sedan. But, as I said, keep in mind I'm 6'1" or so, and I put the driver's seat where I would have it if I was driving. Now, this is honestly kind of cramped for a full-size car. Headroom is not too great. Legroom you can already see. But, you know, even more cramped cars, that's just how this one was designed. But just keep in mind, you know, you might be a smaller person. Smaller people are probably, you know, just fine in this back seat. Also, you know, if there's a smaller person in front of you. But I do like this generation of Impala. I think it's cool that they continued building it up to 2016. For those people who just wanted something simple and old-fashioned, and even if it's not the most refined or competitive, it's old-fashioned, it's simple, and it's respectable for what it is. Pretty cool cars, these. Does have dual exhaust.
The Impala Limited offers 18.6 cubic feet of trunk space.
Anyhow, thanks for checking out this tour of this 2014 Chevrolet Impala Limited. And as always, stay on the lookout for future tours.